All right, this is the Algebra 2 Unit 3 Lesson 5 video over elementary row operations. Elementary row operations are just some basic things you can do inside of matrices to alter them. And they're useful later when we're trying to solve systems of equations. But right now, we just need to have a basic understanding of the three main types of row operations. So elementary row operations include row switching, row multiplication, and row addition. And so I'm not going to go over what's in here, but I'm just going to tell you that in the lesson, they have you identify the type of operation, and then they have you actually do them. So I'm going to go through each one of those over here on our notes. So row switching is the most straightforward one, and it is identified by the fact that it has a arrow pointing either direction when it comes to the notation. So this arrow pointing both ways tells me that it's row switching. So literally, all it means is that I am switching the location of the rows. So I'm going to move 1, 4, 0 to row 2, and -2, 3, and 1 to row 1. That is it. That is what row switching is. That one's pretty straightforward. So let's move on to the next one, row multiplication. Row multiplication will look like this. You will have a number multiplied by a row, and you will have it going back where that row was. So it'll just be some number times that row and going to the location where it's going to be written in the answer. So this is going to be 2 times row 1, and then write it in row 1. So what that tells me right away is that actually row 2 is not going to be altered at all. So I can actually just move that over right away because row 2 is not going to be altered, but row 1 is going to be multiplied times 2. So 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 times 0 is 0. So all I've done is multiply 2 times each one of these numbers and then wrote the answer in the new matrix. And so row multiplication again is identified by this notation. You'll have the arrow, but it will just be a number times that row. There won't be any adding of rows or anything like that because you'll see that in row addition. Row addition is probably the most complicated one of these. You'll see the notation will look like this. There will always be something being added here, and then it could be said to go in either row. So you can add the rows and put them in either row 1 or row 2. But in this one, it says to do 2 times row 1, add the answer to row 2, and then write the final result in row 2. So it's going to look like this. 2 times row 1, I'm going to write my work up here, is 2, 4, 8, and 0, because 2 times 1, 2 times 4, 2 times 0. And then I'm going to add row 2. So notice I just wrote row 2, or this is row 2, row 1. I'm going to add these up. 2 and -2 make 0. 8 and 3 make 11. 0 and 1 make 1. And then I want to write this answer in row 2, which is what the notation says to do. 0, 11, 1. And that means that row 1 is going to be unaltered. And so row 1 would look like that. And this would be the final result. So that's pretty much it. I don't really have a whole lot else to say here. You need to identify in number 5. You need to perform the operations in 6, 7, 8, and then you have some review questions, 9, 10, 11, 12, and all that. If you need help with the review questions, I will point you in the direction of the videos that correspond with these. These are all coming from the first 2 units. But that is it for Lesson 5.